Welcome in today. So today we're going to be talking about broken hearts. If you've ever had a broken heart, this is for you, especially if you haven't recovered from it. Did you know that there's actually a medical term? And I don't know if I'm going to be pronouncing this properly, but it's Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Takotsubo is what it's called. So it's actually visible. You know, if they were to examine your heart, they would actually be able to physically see it. So that's significant. You know, you hear of people passing away, someone loses a grandparent or a parent, and they've been, married for a very, very long time. Well, typically it seems that within, 6 months to a year, sometimes you end up losing the other. We're not losing people, but we are. But they're okay. But they might pass, and it is truly from, I believe, a broken heart. So I've experienced this, and I've felt, sometimes even if I think about certain heartbreaking things, I can feel the pain in my chest. So don't want to do that often. So we're going to talk about heartbreak because it can be a very debilitating and difficult to get over thing. So if you are going through heartbreak right now, I'm sending you all my love and understanding and compassion, because I've been there and it's awful. And I got to tell you that when I had my heart broken, it was actually the most awful experience of my life. I've never been through anything as difficult as that. And I got through it. I got over it. It led to the most wonderful thing that could have ever happened, which is why now, if there's any heartbreaking feelings, okay, well, I guess I need to be thankful for them, because they're going to lead to something very wonderful. But at the time, it certainly doesn't feel this way. So when I had my heart broken, I'll just kind of tell you my story so that, you can relate. But perhaps you'll relate in a completely different way. So I was betrayed. I was married for, I'm not even actually sure, it was 18, 19 years, something like this. And I found out that he had been cheating, and he completely devastated me. What I thought that I had with this person, and we were together for 24 years. What I thought I had with this person, I didn't. And, you see the signs after the fact. He cheated when we dated and lied about it and didn't, find out the truth till after we were married. And there was all these things that when you're young and you're in love, you're literally blind to it. So if you were betrayed and you're feeling stupid, like, how did I not see this? It's because when you're in love, you're literally blind to it. You ever seen, someone else's relationship? You see it from the outside and you're like, man, she treats him horrible. Like, how is it? Why are they putting up with this? But that person doesn't see it, or maybe the opposite, maybe he's awful to her, whatever it is. And from the outside, oh man, you can see it. But they're in love. And so they're blind to it. They might be aware that it is happening, but they will make excuses for their partner. Oh, it's not that bad. Oh, they love me. This is, whatever. But we ignore a lot of things. So if you are going through heartbreak, if you've been betrayed, if something has happened, I'm going to tell you my story here. So when I found out, and it was so much more awful than what I was anticipating. So intuitively, I had been warned and I had been told. We actually had gone on a trip to Mexico, and I remember this very specifically because it was at the start of December one year, because by the time that we got back, oil had crashed. It had gone from like $100 a barrel or 80 or whatever it was down to like 20. And I remember we're on this trip and I am being intimate with my husband, and I had this knowing and this flash come to me telling me he's been with prostitutes. And now guys, if you know me, the divine tells me things all the time, everything. I've actually never had anybody even pass away and me not know, either that day or previous to that date, that it was going to happen. Nothing really comes as a surprise to me. The divine knows what I can handle and what I can't handle, and so gives me warnings when there's things that I can't handle. So first of all, I'm going to back up a tiny bit. So we're flying to Mexico. So I like to give words for people, right? I could just tune in and give somebody an intuitive message, something that they need to know. So I remember sitting on the plane, getting ready to leave, and I put my hand on his leg and I said, "Oh, can I give you, a message?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And so I was told, "Ooh, you did something and you feel really, really bad about it. But it's going to be okay. You're going to get through it, blah, 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 blah." And he's like, "Oh, that's weird. I don't know what you're talking about," or whatever, but just, kind of ignored me like you typically would. Anyway, so we go on this trip. We're being intimate, and then I'm told he's been with prostitutes, which I immediately am like, there's just no way, man. There's just no way. Like, when could this have happened? How could this have happened? It's not even possible. So I didn't say anything, right? Because, this is just some crazy thought that's popped into my head randomly while we're being together. So flash forward several years. So I intuitively knew, and keep in mind also at this point, so this is, the divine protects me, the divine loves me, man. He had returned home from a trip, which I then found out was, one of the times that he was with somebody else. And I don't remember what happened. I don't remember if he was snoring. I don't remember if I just couldn't sleep. Sometimes, if I would be laying next to somebody and they can't sleep, I'm not going to be able to either, right? I'm going to pick up on their amped up energy and I won't be able to fall asleep. Either way, I end up sleeping in another bedroom. And I think that I slept so good in that room, I stayed sleeping in that other bedroom. Like, maybe we would fall asleep in the same room, but then I would go down and I would sleep in this other room. This goes on until we go on our trip. So I think something intuitively inside me knew and was protecting me. So we go, I have this flash, this insight, while I'm on the trip, and then however many years goes by. At which point, he, starts getting blackmailed by a prostitute. So he decides, he's got to tell me something, at least, because she's now, threatening to message me. And anyways, I know this sounds like a lot of drama. It was at the time. Anyways, he doesn't admit everything to me, but tells me, I'm being blackmailed, but I didn't actually sleep with her. I couldn't go through with it, and blah blah blah. And I find this out on, I believe it was my birthday. That's typically what he would do. But was this a coincidence that it happened to be on my birthday that this happened? I don't know. I don't think so. Anyways, so I am devastated at the thought that this could have happened, right? And I'm wanting to believe him saying, he couldn't go through with it, so he didn't actually sleep with her, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm wanting to believe this so much so that I accept this. But at the same time, I was so in love with this man that I'm devastated, I'm heartbroken, like, it was awful. And so I tell him, if I ever find out that you did and that you're still lying to me, I'm done, man. Flash forward. It was kind of a devastating day. So I go out to his grandmother's house, or to his aunt's house, because his grandma is dying. And so I'm on my way out to her house, and as I'm driving there, I'm told, she's going to die today, and you're going to help prepare the body, which I had no idea what that even meant, but that was exactly what happened. And I'm going to put some light into this story here. When she passed, I arrive, I go, and I go in there, and I kind of felt like she had been waiting for me. Me and her did not, she didn't like me. She was never nice to me, so I kind of just would avoid her as much as possible. But I felt compelled to go there that day. So I go, and, she's not really with it anymore, and so I just talked to her, grab her hand, and just kind of told her, like, it's okay. And I don't remember what all I said, but it was more telepathic communication with her. And when I walked into this room, her vibe, the energy that she was putting out, was the most peaceful. I have never experienced this from that woman ever in my life. And it was like her true self. This was what I was experiencing, was the beautiful, true her that she had always been. I assume something happened in her life that kind of made her an angry, grumpy, mean woman. But this was not the case right here at the end of her life. She was in her true essence, and it was beautiful to be there with her. So I was so very glad that was my, last impression with her, was her true self. And so, I say, my goodbyes, whatever I needed to say to her. And then, within a few minutes, she had passed. So, and I then go back into the room to go help my aunt prepare the body. And when I walked into that room, of course, my aunt is very sad at what is happening. But the energy in the room, like, I can't even describe to you how wonderfully peaceful it was. It was just truly heavenly, which this brought me a lot of peace, and it was, I could feel the presence there, and I could also understand how, her daughter is in such grief, is in such sadness, that perhaps she's not feeling the same energy, but yet her presence was very much there to try. I knew that it was to try to, bring her some peace. Anyway, so this was a very beautiful experience. I've never experienced anything like this before. So I'm driving out to the house to go and, have this experience, and I am told, tonight, Patrick, that's my ex, is going to tell you something, and it is going to be much harder than what you think it's going to be. And I'm like, oh, great. Okay, so I'm already anticipating he's going to tell me he's been with somebody else, or whatever it happens to be. I've prepared myself, but I'm not really thinking about this because I'm dealing with something else here. So I'm, leave. Well, it was his aunt's house, but she's mine. I love her. And so I'm leaving the house, and I call and I say, hey, sorry, your grandma passed. Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, will you go meet me at the office? Because that's where we would meet. If we were going to go fight, and we didn't want the kids to know about this or have a discussion that we knew was going to get heated, that was where we would meet. Would be down at my office, because we owned the building there. So, like, okay, so I go down there to go meet him, and then he proceeds to tell me, no, it wasn't one prostitute, there was more, and there was other people, and there was all these things. And I, upon hearing what he had to tell me, I was so beyond devastated, I actually couldn't even think. I first of all, I was expecting it, but I was not expecting it. Like when you know something, but you're like, yeah, it's not real. You're talking about, it was It was devastating. So I had my heart completely broken. Now, in that moment, so years prior, when he had been being blackmailed by this woman, I had gone through grief for a long time, because what I thought I had, I didn't have, right? I thought I had my best friend. Me and him, we had so much fun together. Man, we had fun. I thought he was my friend. I thought we had it good. I'd see my friends' relationships, and they were always complaining about their husbands, and I wasn't. I liked him. He was my friend. And sure, we didn't get along all the time, but I loved him. And I was devastated when I found out that he even was entertaining the idea of being with somebody else. And I also didn't understand this, because it's not like we weren't together, all the time. It's not like he, I couldn't understand it. So upon realizing the actual truth, him admitting all of these things, first of all, this was really interesting. After he told me these things, his eyes changed color. His eyes actually became way, way lighter. So he had been holding this within him, and obviously it had been eating away at him, and you could actually visibly see it in his eyes, the change, when he just spoke the truth. It completely changed things for him. However, for me, so good, this is good for him. However, for me, I just immediately fell out of love. There was no love left. There was absolutely none. I'm like, you know what? Get out of my house. I'm not doing that. We're done. We're done. There's no love left. Why would I want to be with someone like you? So he left for a bit. Then he, begged me to come back, and because of the children, and what if we were going to stay together? What if we could work through this? Which I was like, okay, you know what? What if we did? Because I didn't want to ruin my family. I guess I didn't. But I didn't want this. We had 4 kids. I wanted the things to be good. I wanted us to have that, because I wanted to have the thing that I thought that I had that I actually didn't have. And so for about 6 months after this, I was so devastated. I was also so embarrassed, because I didn't see this coming. So, I'm saying all these wonderful, good things about him, and what I thought that I had, and I was so embarrassed that I was tricked. That I really, truly thought that I had something wonderful, and I did not. And I felt so stupid for him lying to me and me believing these lies. And I know that I had caught him in lies before, other people telling me things, but I just, I don't know. So for about 6 months, I'm devastated, to the point of, okay, well, my whole life is over. I've been living with him and having these children, and I homeschool my kids, and I all of the things. I'm like, what am I going to do? So, not knowing what to do. So this was November, because that was when she passed. I just didn't know what to do. So I remember waking up pretty much every day wishing that, basically wishing I hadn't woke up. I could barely function. I didn't even, I still did everything I always did. House is clean, things are cooked, I'm doing the things you'd never know. You would never know if you were an outsider looking in. Even if you were an insider looking in, you wouldn't know. I'm not going to I have 4 kids. I can't be sitting there and totally, bawling in the house all the time. No, I would reserve that for the evening when I was by myself, when I would go and take a bath, which I went and took a bath every single night, basically my whole entire life until I moved down here. And so I had that time to myself. But my life at that time was hell. It felt like horrid hell every day. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to get past this? What am I going to do? And so then this, is when I decided, okay, I need to leave. I'm going to go up to my cabin. I'm going to go be by myself. And best decision I could have ever made. And I left, and I said, I'm not coming back until I come back. and I was gone for 3 weeks. During this time, I forgave him. I gained enlightenment. Things completely shifted. However, I then had to come back to the same house, which, you know what, I was not okay with this anymore. I couldn't move past it. There was no love. There was no trust. There was nothing good. Nothing good was left. I mean, there was good, obviously, but it was not the life I wanted to live. So I, go through another year, not even a year, another 9 months or so. I'm deciding what the heck am I going to do? And I'm sure I drove my friends insane over that time. But of course, they were very also understanding because they wouldn't have known what to friggin' do either. So, anyways, at some point, upon realizing the energy shift, I guess everything came down to the energy. So over that next, 9 months or so, I left several times to go be by myself, try to figure out what am I going to do. I'd go up to my cabin and then went and took a trip. So I go and take a trip, and I'm going with a couple of friends of mine, and I'm leaving town. And as soon as I leave town, I feel my energy lift up. This was the determining factor. This had happened every time that I left town, but I was always going up to my cabin, so I was going to connect with the divine, or I was, going here or there, but it was always to connect with the divine. That was always my intent, but this was not. This was a fun trip. And so I'm leaving town, and I feel the energy uplift, and I realize it was him. It was him that was pulling my energy down, and that when I was in my own energy was freaking fabulous all of the time, unless it was being drained or siphoned away. And this is the first time that I was realizing that was what was happening. And, I would go to the cabin and I would come back literally enlightened, like, here, let me put my hand on your knee. Okay, your knee is healed now. Like this kind of thing. And being in the environment that I was in with him in it would drain, it would just take it all away. So realizing, which took me how many frickin' years to figure that out, realizing that this was what was happening, I was like, I can't do this anymore. That was it. Called my mom. I was like, hey, this is what's happening. This is what I've decided. She's like, okay, well, you can come and stay with me when you come down here, because I was planning on, leaving the country to go hang out with my mom for 6 weeks while she was having knee surgery. So she's like, well, when you come, you can just stay. And that trip was coming up right away. I had planned this several months before. I knew when she was having her surgery and was going to go and help her for 6 weeks. So the timing coincided perfectly, because prior to that, I had felt like I was completely stuck and did not know what I was going to do. Having been a stay-at-home mom who, yes, I did my hypnotherapy for the last 10 years, but I was in a small town, and my husband made all the money. He supported us. That was his role in our family. And so I homeschooled the kids, I cooked, I did all the things, and so I felt stuck. Like I felt, how could I ever leave? But the divine showed me the way. And when I felt like I was completely stuck, all of a sudden that day I realized, I'm not stuck. And that was that. Now, over these months when I was completely devastated and completely heartbroken, it forced me to heal, because I couldn't sit in that. I couldn't be a victim forever. I couldn't even get through my day. It was like, no, I have to heal this. I have to heal this. It is not an option, because I can't live my life this way. So it forced me to heal. So through that, I forgave him. All of the things that came along with all of the pain, I had to heal this pain. And it's no easy process. Because it's not just forgiving them, but it is all of the things that you then think about yourself. Like, how did this happen? What did I do to make this happen? And of course, we're our whole world, so we blame ourselves for these things. And it forced me to heal things within myself, and it forced me to be compassionate. And I have to say that heartbreak was the absolute best thing that ever happened to me, because it forced me to do things to heal the hurt that I would have never done had that not happened. You'd be like, okay, well, if it didn't happen, you wouldn't have had to do all those things. Yes, but I grew from it. I became so much stronger. It really did truly change me. And so I know I've said this before, but he always thought, sorry, I don't know if you can hear that, but the neighbors having an issue and their house is getting kind of cut open right now. Anyways, through what happened, he always said to me that he thought I would leave him for spiritual reasons. That's what he always thought. He just always had this, that he thought I was going to leave him for spiritual reasons. Well, I have to say he was right. So his was also a self-fulfilled prophecy, because gaining enlightenment and then coming back into an environment where that was 1,000,000% not supported, not understood, not even listened to, I did leave for spiritual reasons, because I couldn't be in the frequency of hell. I couldn't be in it anymore. He liked to call people names. He liked to just be very negative. He liked to I'm not gonna say, but I couldn't be in that environment. Couldn't do it anymore. When I know reaping and sowing is real, and that when you're putting out, you're getting back, it was like an insult to my spirit to be in an environment where that was not practiced or understood. And there was no way, because he did know, vibration, the Abraham and Esther Hicks, he listened to that kind of thing. So he understood and he knew, but he wasn't following it. And you can know all kinds of things, but if you don't actually do them, they're useless to you. And so me leaving truly did end up being for spiritual purposes. And, guys, I got a daily podcast here that we do now, a spiritual podcast. This would have never happened if I was still there. Because I couldn't maintain, because I wasn't just in my own energy. Like, I need supportive energies, and I did not have that. Yes, they supported me financially. That was about the extent of it. And so if you're going through heartbreak, I remember looking things up when this happened. I'm like, how to overcome betrayal. What do you do when your spouse cheats on you? How do you heal from this? Because I remember being in an absolute devastated panic. I was in so much grief. It was real, true grief. It was awful. And I remember looking up things, trying to find, and there was nothing. There was nothing that I could find that could help me. There was no article that I could read that could help me. There was no YouTube videos that I could listen to that gave me any kind of anything to help heal it. There was nothing. There was nothing. It was like I was completely alone. And every negative feeling that you could feel, I was experiencing. And so at this time, my life truly felt like hell. And it was hell. And yes, what really changed? I remember saying to my brother-in-law, saying, everything has changed. Everything has changed. When I very first found out about things, and he said, well, nothing has changed. You just have information now that you didn't have before. I was like, oh, okay. And that did help me in the moment, but at the same time I was like, yes, but that information changed everything for me. But it did bring me comfort. It's time. So if you're tuning in and you're heartbroken about something, it's time. And the only thing that can get you through it is time. And I know that this is the most difficult part, but I practice this regularly now. Being thankful. Because it happened for a reason, so that you could be set free of this person or whatever it is that you decide. Maybe, some people stay together. I don't know how the heck that's possible, and how you still have trust together, and if you can truly be happy. But if that's the case, and you can build back, and you can build that trust back, and then you can be happier. Maybe you end up communicating in a better, more efficient way, or I don't know what it happens to be. But the sooner that you can be thankful for it, knowing that something good is going to come from it, the more peace you'll find, because there will be peace that comes from it. I have to say, from that, it was the most devastating experience of my life, but it was also the most beneficial. Like, I'm thankful for it now. I want to throw a party for it. I could throw a party, a yearly party, for how thankful I am, because I'm now free. I got to be in my own energy, and I didn't realize how valuable my own energy was until I got to be in it by myself. I freaking love myself, man. I could hang out with myself all day long and be in my energy, because it's high vibe, and because it's made of love, and there's nobody hanging around me that's complaining or talking bad about others, because that brings me down. Those things are so hard to listen to and to deal with. And I don't have to listen to any of that anymore. I don't have to listen to it for even 1 second. I remember I went back and, to go visit my kids or whatever, however, a long time ago, and he was talking to me, and I'm like, you know what, I don't actually even have to listen to anything that he says anymore. And so I just, walked away. Just walked away, like, oh, I'm just walking away. I'm just not going to listen to this. And it was so freaking liberating. It was so liberating. It was so wonderful. Okay. So if you're going through something, I want you to know it happened for you. I know it doesn't feel like it. I know, been there. And if someone would have told me at the time, I guess I don't know what I would have thought of it. But nobody told me nothing at the time. So I'm telling you, if you're going through something, it happened for you. This is a gift for you. And, that saying, I don't know if it's a Mother Teresa, I don't know who said it, but someone once handed me a box of darkness, and it took me years to realize that this too was a gift. And I gotta say, the box of darkness, the betrayal, it was a gift, and it was the nicest gift I ever got, because it set me free. And isn't that what all of us want? We just want freedom. We just want to be free. Why do you want all that money? You don't. You want the freedom that comes from it. Why do you want this? You don't. You want the freedom that comes from it. It's all about the freedom. And I was set free when that happened. I didn't realize it, and it took me a long time to realize it. But when I did, now I'm thankful for it every day. I'm thankful for it every single day. And it is a gift. But now what happens if you've been betrayed? Well, sometimes now we're going to repeat these patterns from the past if we haven't healed them. So he clearly didn't value me. Didn't value me. Because if he did, well, he wouldn't have been banging prostitutes, now would he? No, he wouldn't have. I valued him. I wasn't banging prostitutes. That'd be hilarious. It wouldn't be hilarious. It would be awful. But you know what I'm saying. That actually would be hilarious. So he didn't value me. So what came of this? Well, then all of a sudden, I'm realizing I'm putting myself in situations where I'm not being valued. because I've repeated this pattern from the past. Well, what the hell am I doing that for? Why would I do that? Well, I did that because I wasn't healed in that particular area, right? I didn't realize yet, oh, I really truly am a valuable woman. Like, I mean, I realized it because I left him, but I didn't realize to the extent of how valuable I truly was, because then I allowed people to treat me like I didn't matter. And I allowed it, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Why am I allowing this? And so upon realizing that this is what I was doing, I immediately ended it, because I ain't repeating no patterns from the past. They're gone forever from my life. So now, when I see these things, you know how when you're younger and you're dating the guy and you're ignoring those things because you're literally love blind? I will never be love blind ever again. It's very easy to do, especially when we're living in fantasy and illusion world, and we see something and we just ignore it, or we see something and we make an excuse for it, or we see something but we want to be with that person so bad that we're just going to put up with it. Don't do this. You are better off being alone, being in your own energy, by yourself, working on yourself and your personal growth, and truly enjoying your own company, than you are being with somebody who doesn't allow those same things for you, who doesn't value you, who doesn't show you that they care, who doesn't treat you how you deserve to be treated, how you would treat them. And so going forward in your life, you can learn from the heartbreak. Here's an easier way to do this. You might look back, and you might look back on all those good and wonderful times that you had together. And of course, you know, I'm always talking about operating out of love, but sometimes we got to let things go. So I want you to look at all of the things that they did that were not okay, and that maybe you just put up with, and that maybe you were love blind about. Focus on those things. And it'll make it a whole lot easier to get over that heartbreak, because you're going to be like, you know what? They weren't very good to me. And then what's going to happen is you're going to get mad at yourself for not seeing it, for staying as long as you did, for putting up with all that crap. Then, once you are not mad at yourself anymore, because you've now forgiven yourself, and you're like, okay, this is where I was at that time, this is why I put up with that, because I wanted this thing so bad that wasn't for me, whatever it happens to be. But once you heal and you forgive yourself for even putting yourself in that situation, for allowing it to happen, for being so love blind that you didn't see it, whatever it is that you're mad at yourself for, once you've forgiven yourself, you probably will have forgiven this person first. But if you hold any anger and resentment towards them, you know, that's not benefiting you at all. That is a detriment to yourself. It's harming you. I understand. I was pissed at him forever for what happened. But I'm not at all now. Now I'm 100% thankful. Like, thank you. What a great thing you did. I'm so glad that you did that. I'm so glad that you finally freaking told me. I'm so glad that I know all the things that I was devastated about at one time. Now, those are the things that I'm so thankful for, because it allowed me to leave and to go and live my life for me. Totally free. So if you are going through heartbreak, I'm really sorry, and I'm telling you, it's gonna get better. It's gonna take time. And don't fight how you're feeling. So if you're super upset, don't try to talk yourself out of it. Just let yourself be upset, because then you're stuffing those things, those feelings inside, and they have to get out. So if you feel like you need to cry, then you need to freaking let yourself cry. If you feel really angry, then you need to let yourself be really angry. Don't have the internal battle going on as well, right? If you're like feeling upset and you're like, no, I'm just going to talk myself out of this. No, stop being up. No, let yourself, because then you have the double battle going on. You can go back and listen to that podcast episode from a couple days ago, and you don't want that. You don't want to be fighting yourself as well as whatever else is going on in your life. So just accept, this is how I'm feeling. I feel like I'm drowned in it. I want to die. Perfect. Let yourself sit in that feeling and just, it sucks. It's terrible. It's awful. I know it, but just allow it. Just allow it to be there. And as you allow it to be there, it's going to start to work through you. Now, here's my hot tip. If you are going through some type of heartbreak and you lived with this person, so they were always in your environment, maybe they're in your house, whatever it happens to be, you need to exit. You need to leave that environment. Go take a little trip. Doesn't mean that you're not going to come back. Go away for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Can you go for 5 weeks? Go for as long as you can possibly go away. Exit the situation. Because as long as you're in it, those energies are the same, and it's going to make you feel a certain way. And when you leave and you put yourself in a different environment, it will change the way that you feel. I'm not going to say that this is going to make things super easy for you overnight. No, it's not. But it will make things better. It will be beneficial to you to go put yourself in hermit mode, spend some time by yourself, so that you can get some clarity and that you can figure out what it is that you want and what it is that you need. And once you've healed from this, and you will heal from this, I promise you, I guarantee you that you're going to heal from this, but you have to put in the work. And it's hard work, and it hurts, and it sucks, and it's terrible. I understand. I get it. Once you've healed this, don't fall into the same traps. And I know we all gotta learn, so I'm trying to help you guys learn from my own lessons. Once you've learned, don't allow the same thing to happen again. And I want you to know that you're a very valuable person, and what they did was about them. No matter what they tell you, it was about them. It wasn't about you. And you don't deserve whatever that was that happened. You didn't deserve that, because you're a real good person. And there will be someone who is going to value you. And don't settle ever again in the future for someone that does not value you at 100%. Because if you're valuing them at 100%, then you deserve the exact same thing back. So perhaps, going forward here, you can look at where was there some perhaps inequality. That I was doing this, they weren't doing this. They were doing this, I wasn't, where is it? You can learn and you can gain. I remember when I first moved down here, I was talking to a woman, love this woman here in town. Her name's Anne. And she was talking about her first marriage, and, she just got married again here. Actually, she had her husband pass about a year ago now, and she just got remarried. I love this woman. Anyways, she was talking and talking about, being married the first time and blah, 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 and how the second, it was so much better. And I was like, yes, because you can learn. You can look back at all those things that you maybe weren't great at. Maybe you weren't the best, partner in some way, and you can look back at that and you can be like, all right, I'm going to be an even better partner for my next partner. And expect it. Expect that you're going to get some equality, and that when you find someone and you really value them, that they'll value you back. And if they don't, let them loose. Get rid of them. Get them gone, so that you can make space for someone that is going to value you like you deserve. And be very aware of the energy. How do you feel when you're with this person? Do you leave and you feel confused? That's not a good sign. Do you leave and you feel uplifted? That's a real good sign. Be aware of the energy of how you feel when you are with certain people. How do they make you feel? This really matters, because if you're going to invest and do something that's long term, it better feel fucking fabulous, because you will get so complacent and you will get so used to the energy that is around you that you won't even notice that energy anymore. You won't even notice it, because it will just be your norm. It will be the vibration that you were typically always sitting at. And therefore you're going to attract things into your life that feel that very same way. So if you want a high vibe life, well, then you better be with someone who feels high vibe to you. And if you want a low vibe life, well, then go pick somebody that's got low vibes, but you're not going to do that. You're never going to do that. Never again, are you? So if you were going through some heartbreak, whatever I called it there at the start, I don't remember the name, I just want you to know it's real. It's real how you're feeling. It can actually visibly be seen in your body through imaging. It can actually be seen. It's a real thing. You know, I know too, and I know for myself, I know we've talked about this before with the body parts, how, you know, I would think about, you know, being mad at my dad, all of a sudden my knee would start aching. Of course, I've forgiven him, that's not the case anymore, but now if I think about this heartbreaking situation, not my husband, he's long toast to me. If I think about a heartbreaking situation, I will feel actual chest pains that are there. So protect your mind over this time. If you're experiencing heartbreak, protect your mind. And if you start to feel, you know, pains in your chest when you think about this, whatever it is, it's because you're thinking about the sadness that is there. And you must stop thinking about this sadness. And so anytime that it comes up, I want you to just take that sad. You can experience it for, you know, don't stuff it and not let it be there, but don't let your mind go all willy-nilly and think about it 120 times a day and crap on yourself all day long. No. Set aside a time. Okay, I'm going to allow myself, you know, depending on where you're at in it, for half an hour, for 5 minutes, for 2 minutes, for 30 seconds. Where are you at? Where, you know, how recovered are you from this? Set aside a time that you're just going to allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you need to feel. And then after that, no more. No more of the thoughts. And you can do this once a day. You set it up. You decide. This is your free will. This is your mind. But the only thing that brings on that pain there in your body, in your chest, in your mind, in your heart, is how you were thinking about it at the moment. So you could just remember this. This is what I remember. The divine loves you so much. I'm telling you. You can't even actually comprehend just how much you actually are loved by the divine, but the divine loves you and wants every good and wonderful thing for you. Only good and wonderful things for you. This is what the divine wants, is only good and wonderful. So what has happened is a gift. Yes, it feels like a box of darkness right now, but it truly is a gift. It's just for you. It's just for you, and it's going to be a gift. And how long it takes you to see that gift really depends on you and how much healing you do. So start healing that hurt. I know we talked about this 100 million times, but I have that mental cleanse series. Look through there. There might be a video in there that can help you. There's hundreds of videos here on this channel, and lots of them are free guided hypnotherapy sessions, as if you were coming and attending a session, a group session here with me, and it can help you to work through some of these things that have been harming and hurting you. And it's all how you think about it. But if you're going through heartbreak, it's going to take some time, and I know that sucks, because you just want a remedy. You just want something that's going to make it feel better right today. But that's not how it goes. Another thing that can be very helpful is writing, actual physical writing. You need to write with your hand on a piece of paper, because this is subconscious. So you can write out how it is that you're feeling about things. You know, I feel, you know, how could they have done this to me? I feel so stupid. Why did I fell for it? Why did this? Whatever it happens to be, write it out, because then you're getting it out. And a lot of times we feel alone in this. You're not alone in this. You're not alone in this. People are walking around with a friggin' broken hearts all over the place, but they just don't talk about it. Just like you're not talking about it. That's why you found a video that you could listen to, because you're not talking about it. And this is people, they don't talk about it. So we feel very alone when these things are happening. But this is the best thing. I love being alone. So now you get to be alone, you get to heal, and you're going to see eventually that this was a wonderful gift for you to help you to grow, to make you stronger. And it's like, I've heard enough. I don't want to be any stronger. I've gone through all the lessons. Well, you haven't. And it's going to be okay, and it's going to get better. I remember my friend telling me, and this is when I was a teenager, and I remember saying something like, I just wish things could go back to how they were before. That cannot happen. Things cannot go back to how they were before, but they can go forward, they can be different, and they can be so much better that you'll be thinking, why in a million years would I have ever wanted to go back to how it was back then, when what I've got now is 100 million times better than that. And so just expect and believe that the only reason why this has happened is because it's a wonderful gift for you, perhaps, that's going to set you free, that's going to help you to heal some hurt or some pain inside of you that was probably persistent there anyways, even maybe before that happened. But it's going to allow you all kinds of wonderful things, but only if you allow it. Let yourself go through all the emotions that are there. You're angry about it. You're angry at them. You're angry at yourself. You're sad at them. You're sad with yourself. Just allow it, and just remind yourself that if you're out throughout the day and these things are popping into your head, don't let it be there. Tell it, nope, I'll think about you later. Nope, I'm going to think about you later, and just put it up on a shelf, slide something in front of it, and then take time to deal with it. And in the meantime, you could start to get excited. And I know this is hard to do, but this is what I do. If ever I have a bad day, if something has happened, which 100% of the time involves my ex being a dickhead, if he calls me and tries to upset me or something like that, and I end up with a bad day, I basically start getting really excited, and I might even start laughing and start being really thankful for it, for whatever he has done. Because I know that good comes every single time something bad has happened. The more good comes. Like, I remember I was thinking, like, I'm at the top of the world. I couldn't get any higher than what I'm at right now when I left. Well, then I remember having a couple bad days, him calling me, trying to get me worked up, and it worked back then. And whatever it was, I don't even remember the thing, but being kind of devastated for a couple days, like feeling really lowly for a couple days. Well, then what happened after that? Well, I thought I was at 100% of as high as I could possibly get in my energy. I went up to 200 after that. So I was like, all right, these couple bad days forced me to forgive in ways that I didn't know I needed to, forced me to work on myself in ways I didn't know I needed to, and made me even better. So now, come at me. Go ahead, try it. Because only good is going to come from it. So I want you to know, only good is going to come from this. And maybe it does not feel like that at the time. It probably doesn't. Only good is going to come from this. I love you, my dear. And it's going to be okay. Things are going to get so much better. It really is. All right, well, this is where I leave you here today. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you never experience this horrible heartbreak ever again. All you need to do is learn the lessons from it, and I want you to remember how valuable and how worthy you are, and do not let anyone ever again treat you like you're not. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. And I love you all so very much. And if you're tuning in here, just know, right now I'm going to send you some extra love. I'm actually going to focus on this right now, receive it. I'm just going to charge up some love here, and I'm going to send it out to you with a nice big breath. Ready? Just receive it. And I want you to see this brilliant white light, and it's just going to come into you here right now. Ready? I love you. You matter. I really do care about you. It's going to be okay. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. Eventually, everything changes. I love you. It's going to be okay. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow.